Yes, we're going to chat tonight about the game changer in CAFS. Just going to fix my phone up again. Okay, tonight we're going to talk about the game changer in CAFS and what you guys can do literally tomorrow with your Year 11 and 12 students to make a huge impact on how you're rolling out the option, because as we'll dive into in a second, it is literally something that we really, really need to work on. So I want you guys to grab your pen and your pad of paper, because tonight you're going to write down so many things that are going to really help you. Hey, Anne. Hey, Trev. Nice to see you. Okay, so the why. The why is really important, and I think I want you guys to do some reflection for me. So today I prepared a session for our CAFS Collective members, all around, reflecting on the past, what they may have done with HSC stuff, HSC results, that type of thing, and setting some goals for this year for their CAFS journey, for their CAFS students, but also for themselves in, community and family studies. So this kind of stems from that. So I want you to think about your HSC results from last year, from the year before, or from previous years. And if you've never taught CAFS before, you might like to reflect on maybe some results at your school, or possibly what you've heard around the option, or around, other things that are connected to our course, the setup to the exam, that type of thing. Because we're going to use that data to inform our practice. And I said today in our session that I'm not a maths girl, but I really do like data. And data always drives our decisions, drives our performance, drives our choices, and what we might do to kind of tweak what we're doing. The data doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. We can't fudge those. They give us really clear direction about what we can do to improve. And look, at the end of every HSC cohort, I really loved looking at our data. Our data told us so many stories about what we are doing well, and about, what we might need to do to improve on what we're doing with our students. So tonight, it comes from that. It really comes from what, hey, Ruby, what that data tells us about our practice. So once we start to look at our data, I want you to have a look at your option and have a look at how your students are performing for that 15 marker. So for the part C, we have three options to choose from, and our students have to choose one of those options to answer an A, a 4 marker, a B, a 6 marker, and C, a 15 marker. And really, that 15 marker is a bit of a mystery to many teachers across New South Wales. If you haven't met me before, my name is Kelly. I have taught CAFS since 2004, really long time, about to sneeze. And really coming. Excuse me. I've taught CAFS for a really, really long time. And look, I've worked with you guys inside coaching and mentoring in lots of sessions. And I've also helped your students across the state, since 2007 on HSC study days. And I think there are so many things that I've learned along the way from both you guys as CAFS teachers, but also the students. So that's that in the nutshell. So in our option, typically our averages, sometimes they're not the best. I want you to choose an emoji in the chat space and let us know what best describes your option results at this point in time. If they're like, we need a bit of work on that, or Kell, don't talk to me about the option because it's our area of weakness. Choose an emoji that best represents how your students are currently performing in the option. So choose an emoji, pop it in the chat space, or you might even just type a word that that represents how the kids are going, because I really think what we look at tonight is going to be an absolute game changer for you. So choose that emoji, pop it in the chat space for me, and let's have this conversation about what we can do to really improve what we're doing right now in CAFS. So while you guys are doing that, I want you to think about these typical results in our course. So option part C, 15 marker. 15 marks, that's a lot of marks up for grabs. 12 marker for PE, that's quite high. It's quite difficult to get those marks. For CAFS, it's 15 marks. So inside CAFS, typical averages, and they've been very similar over the last, say, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. 5 out of 15, 8 out of 15, 7 out of 15. I'll repeat those again. So for 30C, the average typically for the last 7 to 8 years has been 5 out of 15 marks. For 31C, 8 out of 15 marks. 32C, 7 out of 15 marks. Give me your comments. Let me know what you think about this. And if those averages sound similar for your students, again, let us know, like go, yep, that's us, like completely, there are averages and we can't seem to get past it for some reason. We just keep getting stuck, on that 6, 7, 8, or we just keep getting stuck on that, those low marks and not really moving our kids past that because, look, it's not spoken about. It's not written anywhere unless you've done a couple of my courses and you know the little magic ingredients that you can start to use with your CAF students to really improve that option, because I really believe the option is a game changer in our course. It's going to shift your students' marks straight away. It's going to increase their marks by at least 5 to 6 marks if we can make a couple of tweaks with what we do with our kids. It's not just one thing, remember. There's a couple of things that we can do to start making those changes with our students. So, as I mentioned, I really believe it's a significant ingredient missing across our course. A, it's not spoken about. B, there's no scaffolds. There's no scaffolds out there unless you've done Strive or unless you've done Strive pretty much, or a master class with me. I might have let you in on that little kind of tip, or big tip really, about what the kids aren't doing. So the current statistics tell us, that's the data. The data doesn't lie. The data tells us that this is an area of weakness across the state, across New South Wales, in many schools, because the average is 587. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but I don't think that's too crash hot, to get half, to get above that half mark, like the 8 out of 15, is that good enough? Like, is that really good enough for our kids? I don't think so. So let me share with you guys a couple of things about what we're maybe not doing in our CAFS classroom to help these kids. So the first one, as I mentioned, is we're not using scaffolds for the students. We're not showing them like a clear scaffold as to what it looks like for that option. Some of you, many of you, and I'm talking even experienced HSC teachers, senior markers who haven't possibly marked the option before, they don't know what it looks like, think that the typical marks, that 3 to 1. So for every line, the kids typically get, hey Nick, about 3 lines, 1 mark to 3 lines to work with. That's very different for the option. The option is literally, get your pen ready, is 4 to 6 pages long, not 4 to 6 paragraphs long, 4 to 6 pages, exam booklet pages long. It's not like that 3 to 1. 1 mark, for every mark you get 3 lines to work with. That's a typical kind of bit of a calculation in CAFS. It's very consistent, which is good. I like consistency in our course. But we're not shown that. Unless you've been part of Strive and seen those scaffolds that I provided to you guys and seen those templates, if you're not in Strive, you wouldn't have known that before. Raise your hand and let us know if you're in that position. If you are someone who didn't know that before, because again, we don't know what we don't know. The syllabus doesn't tell us this. Our exam specifications don't tell us this. There's no secret document that tells us this. It's from our experience. It's from our knowledge and our understanding of the CAFS exam, what it looks like, how to prepare the kids to really see what that looks like. So let me know if that was you, because that was me. That was literally me for so long. I remember in my first year of teaching CAFS, I had 2 beautiful girls. They were Ange and Ange. They were both tracking at like a band 5, 6. I'm like, I think these guys are a band 6, but I'm not really sure. I know now what a band 4, 5, 6 looks like. I know what a 2, 3 looks like and what I can do to move my students forward. And definitely that was part of my recipe to success. I knew how to get my kids from a 2 to a 3, from a 3 to a 4. I had one student one year get from like a 3 to a 5. That's how hard she worked to really improve her results. But in my first year of teaching CAFS, literally had the syllabus, the textbook, not much else, had no idea what I was doing. I was literally 4 years younger than the people in front of me, the beautiful girls in front of me. And I thought these two girls were on track, but I wasn't 100% sure. Ange and Ange, I remember one of the Anges, Ange F, I think it was, used to like hound me on the playground. Do you guys have any of those kids that do that? They get their pen and go, Miss, I've got like a question for you. Can I just get you to answer that? And I'm just going to write some notes down here. They literally did that. Ange would follow me around with her post-it notes. And when I was on duty, I used to kind of like eyeball her from the distance and go, oh gosh, here's Ange. What's Ange got for me today? Hey, Mon, how you going? So Ange would kind of say, Miss, I've got some questions for you. And she would that's how she would learn. She would write down any questions she had from the previous lesson or from revising and come and find me. Anyway, these two beautiful girls, they used to, hey, Jan, they used to, especially Ange F, she would follow me around the playground trying to hound me down, ask me all these questions. And hang on, and I remember Ange kind of saying to me, Miss, I don't know, how do I do this option thing? And I said, oh, well, you know, it's a lot of writing. It's 15 marks. I didn't know what I was doing, but I remember her just really being prepared for it, trying as much as she could to put everything she had in her head on the paper. The other Ange, in the trial, I knew going into the trial she was doing really well. She's probably tracking at, maybe high 80s, like 87-ish. And she went into the trial and she came out, she said, Miss, I bombed that exam. I screwed up. No, sorry, half yearly she did this. She said, Miss, when we had half the year, remember that when we had half yearlies? Thanks, Nick. I've got lots of stories for 18 years of teaching CAFS. Anyway, Ange said, oh, Miss, I think I bombed my half yearlies. I'm like, don't stress, it'll be okay. We've got this. We've still got the trial to kind of go. She was sitting at rank 2, I think, or 3. Anyway, I said, let's try. She worked out that she was writing way too much for the option. Like she was writing way too much for her short answer and then not getting time to actually finish her option. So I said to her, I had no idea. Where was I getting this advice from? I don't know. I was making it up as I went. But I said to her, Ange, why don't you flip it? Why don't you start with the option, start with the big one first, and then backtrack, then go to your short answer, then quickly do your multiple choice. See how you go with time management and, see what happens. So lo and behold, Ange tried that strategy. She said, okay, I went into the exam. I quickly did my multiple choice. I read through them. I used my little fingernail, fingernail trick. Dig me to hear what that is, but it's nothing crazy. But you might not have used it before. But then she went straight to her option. She planned her answer, and then she got cracking. So Ange went from getting like a 9 out of 15 to getting, I think she got 13 out of 15 for her trial because she tried that strategy. That was me going off on a whim to work out what could have been done. But I had no idea initially what it looked like, how long the kids needed to be writing for, what to include in that detail. So Ange really changed her results right then and there by tweaking, by changing, by using a new strategy to help her. So both Ange and Ange, my little, my note writing Ange, who would follow me around the playground, she got a band 6 in my first year of teaching CAFS, and so did Ange C. And I think for both of them, it was working out. The option was something that they could really capitalize on and use their writing skills to really help them. So for me now, I have clear scaffolds as to what that looks like, clear scaffolds as to what they're going to do in every single part of that 15 marker. So I think for me, that's a one big thing. We're not doing as well as we should be because we don't have a clear pathway. The next one is for them, and in the early days of me teaching CAFS, first 5 years, I reckon, I had no templates. I had no go-to scaffolds to kind of, just, I suppose, set it out for the kids and work out, okay, what do I do in the introduction? What do I do in the, the next paragraph, and so on and so on. So having really clear templates to help my kids be guided by that. And I think once I started to do that, I knew what the end game looked like. I could help the kids really unpack what they were going to do. Of course, that made a significant difference. Going from like my kids getting 9 out of 15 in the HSC to getting 13, 14, and 15 out of 15. I remember my last year, in the Catholic system in Sydney before we moved to the coast. I had a beautiful cohort. They worked really well. We had a cooperative learning going. I had them from year 11. Great class. They really knew their stuff. It was a job share, actually. My beautiful friend Christy and I were job sharing, but I had the majority of the load. And the girls, you know how sometimes you just know they're going to click. They clicked. There were a few different personalities, but I'm like, I don't care. I'm getting the kids to sit in cooperative learning groups. I don't mind. I don't mind putting them outside of their comfort zone. That's where the challenge is. That's where that's where that movement lies if we are challenging our kids. So I kind of knew we were onto something, and it was my goal for that class to get for them to get an average. I said to them, okay, I want our average to be 12 out of 15 for our option. And we worked so hard on the option. We flipped our scope and sequence. Another bit of a trick. Rather than leaving it to the end, back in the day, I would finish on the option. You don't have enough time to prepare for it. You're scrounging around. You're not giving the kids enough time to prepare for the trials, to prepare their exam technique. So what I decided to do was flip it, go research methodology, option, plenty of time to practice that 15 marker, and then groups, and then parenting, finishing on parenting, nice and strong. Kids love it. Once we have post-trial blues, we can kind of get stuck into it. So I flipped that and I said, all right, guys, I think we were CAFS 2 or something. I said to them, okay, our challenge is to get 12 out of 15. And then that kind of equated to, on average, I want you guys to get nail your 4, nail your 6, and get about 12 out of 12 out of 15. So that year, 2017, it would have been, I had 8 out of my 16 girls get over 13 out of 15. That then led them to getting, we had 8 kids get 20 out of 25. And so if that sounds like you would love that, that elusive option is really tricky. So I had a clear template, I had clear scaffolds to help the kids, and I had a clear structure of how and what to teach them, really embedded, really right from the very beginning, from year 11, starting to work on those skills. For me also, and this is where the gold really lies, is using that rubric. Now I want you to go to the HSE and I want you to find that rubric. A rubric looks like a marking guideline from the outset, and it has like a couple of different steps, 5 things that the kids need to do to get good marks for the option for part C. So if we flip to the back of the HSE, and you guys can kind of watch this back later, flip to the back of the HSE, we have our short answer, we then have our option. And in that option, there's a rubric. A rubric like kind of, it's like a criteria. It guides the kids what they're doing. That rubric has so much gold in there. The first dot point is about well-being. Something about societal influences on well-being. Students will be assessed on how well they demonstrate knowledge and understanding, something like that, on societal influences on well-being relevant to the question. That I want your kids to highlight. I want you to show them, excuse me guys, I've got a few allergies tonight. I want you guys to get them to highlight that, and I want you to show them in year 11. Don't wait until year 12. When you do well-being in year 11, show the kids. This idea about well-being, hang on, we need to know this later on. That idea about well-being is the recipe to success in community and family studies. It literally gives you so much information about how the kids are going to actually embed well-being into their answer. So choose an emoji that best represents something you've learned so far, or if you're like, okay, game changer, you just taught me about 5 different things, Kell, and now I'm all confused. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about that, because this is the one thing that we can all do to really improve our students' performances and our results, because, again, it's not spoken out. We're not given a clear scaffold. We're not given a clear step-by-step process. Okay, the next thing is really thinking about, let's shift that. Let's go back to our averages. 5, 8, 7 for our option out of 15. What do we need to do differently? And if we don't change what we do, we're not going to see a different result. If we keep saying the same, we're not going to change. So we need to start to make some shifts and some changes in our CAFS classroom all the way from year 11 to get our kids to nail that 15 marker. to get the 20s, like my CAFS crew got, to get into the 13s, 14s, and 15s, that elusive mark that we want our kids to be working towards. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the timing of it, we need to move the option, first of all. Moving the option out of our scope and sequence from last to second is a great strategy for you guys to be able to say, okay, I now have this time. I now have this opportunity to assess the option, because that's where the game changer is, in that option. It's 15 marks up for grabs. And if the kids, are really not prepared for that, they're not going to do as well as what we want them to do. So literally inside Strive, many of you guys are Strivers, and I think Nick is still on here, and so is Anne. Really looking at what that looks like in CAFS is provided to you inside Strive. That is literally the place for it. Again, it's not spoken about out loud. There's not like a, PS, include wellbeing in your answer for part C. It's not said out loud for CAFS teachers. Wish it was, but it's not. So we need to start to make that shift. Strive inside my signature course literally shows you scaffolds and templates, exactly how to implement it. Okay, one other thing I think that we could be working towards is last minute prep for the option often happens. Okay, we're struggling to finish. Oh, we're just scraping through. We haven't finished content. We haven't assessed all of it. The trial might not have. We might take parts out. Have you done that before? You've taken a part of your option out and gone, we haven't finished that. We don't have time to assess it. We're just going to scrap it out of the option. You guys can be taking really important information out and not assessing the kids on that. Again, shifting that. Having enough time to actually go through the option in detail. Having enough time to actually make that change from the beginning of year 11, and working with the kids on that skill from day dot. When we teach wellbeing, that's exactly what I'm talking about. When we teach wellbeing, we teach this part about the options straight away. And I think if some of you guys have purchased recently my resource management booklets for year 11, booklet, not multiple booklet, I've shown you guys what that might look like with some examples, but I haven't been explicit about saying, gold, this is why I need to do it. Okay, so the next one is really about, again, I said this before, last minute preparation, but moving those skills into year 11, embedding it all the way through is going to make a huge difference with your CAF students. So let me know if you have any questions about what we've covered so far, because as you can see, those changes, those small little changes are going to make a huge difference with your option results. I want you guys to go from that 5, 6, 7, 8 to that 12, 13, 14, and 15 out of 15. The other thing I forgot to mention, I've written it down here, there it is there, but I forgot to say it, was we're not using the marking guidelines. The marking guidelines for the option, so for part C, I want you to go back into last year's HSC, our marking feedback, notes from the Marking Centre came out very recently, only a few days ago. Use that to guide you. Look for the actual marking guidelines for that. It has 2 really clear points in there, and I want you to come back and tell me what they are. I want you to have a look at the mark range for 13 to 15, what you need to do with wellbeing. And then from 10 to 12, what you need to do with wellbeing. And then have a look at that 6 to 9 and tell me why our kids are still getting the 5s, the 6s, the 7s, the 8s, and the 9s out of 15, and not the 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s that we want to see with our CAFS crew. Hey, Jen, nice to see you. We're just talking about the option and what we can do to really make a huge impact with the kids. Okay, I've spoken a lot. I'm sure some of it's got in one ear, out the other, but I want you guys to type in the comments any questions you do have about the option itself. What is one thing, just choose one thing that has resonated with you, or you're like, yep, Kell, I'm going to action that tomorrow. I'm going to write a note for myself. I'm going to go, yep, I need to actually do this to make a really big difference with my students. Not next year when it comes to HSC, not when it comes to doing the option, maybe at the end of this term, not when it comes to trial time, starting now, literally starting now, because how on earth are we expecting the kids to write a sustained answer 4 to 6 pages long in only like a couple of weeks? You can't teach that skill within a couple of weeks. You need to start embedding that sustained writing all the way through year 11, all the way through the option. And then once we get to an assessment task, really being explicit about what we do. So pop in the comments and let me know what has resonated with you most about these gems inside the option, and what questions do you guys have for me while we're on here, obviously, about the option itself. Again, if you haven't marked the HSC, you haven't seen the option, you wouldn't know this. You wouldn't have seen this before. Many CAFS teachers across New South Wales, even experienced HSC markers, aren't aware of this. And when I do my master classes, when I do my coaching, or when you guys tell me about how your kids have gone, I'm like, this is why. This is what you need to be doing. And inside Strive, I literally show you what that looks like, what you need to be doing from the beginning of year 11 to help the kids have that sustained writing, that skill, but also embedding that content, linking to wellbeing all the way through that option. So let me know if you have any comments, because again, if you don't ask, you're not going to know. And that's what my job is, obviously, to help you guys and to get you go from, just kind of surviving, paddling your way up, keeping your head above water, to really thriving. And I think, you guys have heard me speak about Strive and say Thrive. It could be Thrive. Strive for the last couple of nights. And I think, look, if you're looking for something that's going to show you the what and the how, this is literally the transformation. It's not a course. Like, it's not a PL course where you're like, oh, this is so boring. This is so crap. I have to do this, this, and this. You can literally go into module 7, which is all about embedding wellbeing for the option. Go into module 7 and go scaffold, template. Here are some resources exactly, for me straight away. Okay, Mon, you have a question for me. Thinking about putting option earlier on, perhaps second, as you suggested, as opposed to last, and give more time to practice the 15 mark and getting them to practice embedding wellbeing throughout. Absolute gold, Monique. Absolute gold. And I think that tiny tweak of moving the scope and sequence, moving option to second, game changer. I think I did it maybe certainly for the last 5 years, probably for the last 6. Just before I moved to the coast, so 2017 was my last cohort down there. I reckon we changed it in 16 possibly. And what we did do, and many of you guys would know this because you've done the IRP course, is we started to embed our option topic into the IRP. That's why we have it that second. So that's a great move, Monique. Having that second is fantastic. And I hope some of you guys are open to trying that. Moving it second gives you the time, like Monique said, but also the opportunity for the kids to actually show what they know and really embed those key learnings, those key skills that we want them to improve on. So let me know if you have any other questions about what that looks like. Of course, we only had half an hour tonight together to unpack this, and literally inside Strive, there's a whole module, 3 lessons inside that module about embedding wellbeing, and I get to show you exactly what it looks like. I get to give you a scaffold and numerous scaffolds for the kids to unpack, to use, for you guys to print off again and again and again, for them to actually practice this skill, because we're not doing enough practice. And look, I've worked with lots of people before, and, lots of colleagues, lots of teachers across the state, and they would say, oh, we haven't really had time to practice a 15 marker. I'm like, hello, no wonder why your results are how they are, because you haven't practiced that skill. It's a technique. It's a skill that we need to be using. And I reckon, I'll put an approximate on it. I said before, I'm not a maths girl, but I reckon 80% of the state don't know this, and that's why our average is exactly like how it is. So again, please let me know if you have any questions at all, and if you're thinking that Strive is the perfect thing for you guys to unpack resources, strategies, templates, literally hundreds of different things, not just about the option, but again, I said option's a game changer. Strive is a great course for you guys to be able to dive into. It's not onerous. You don't have to kind of sit there and plug away going, this is so boring. Go to the module, go, yep, okay, got it, scaffold, print it off, away you go into your CAFS classroom. And so I've put this up on the website. So just a one-pager. I know some of us like to get, we have to get our head teacher's approval, first of all, or our coordinators, then our deputy, crazy, then our maybe our principal's approval, then our SAM's, approval, signatures here, there, and everywhere. Print that off. Put it into your head teacher's lap or desk and say, look, I really want to join this because it's going to absolutely fast track and improve our results significantly. And if you make this one change with the option, I can guarantee you changing, that 5 or 6 or 7 out of 15 to a 9, 10, 11, or a 12 out of 15, just by making a couple of small tweaks and using the scaffolds and the templates inside Strive. So, guys, if you have any questions about Strive and thinking it might be for you, please let me know. Rego closes next Wednesday. And I know, look, schools are busy, people are busy, admin are busy, you guys are super busy. But if you're still thinking about joining, this is a great opportunity for you guys to go right now. I need these scaffolds. Like, I want these scaffolds. Show me exactly what it looks like. And I think, there's nothing out there about the option apart from a few booklets that I've brought out, or the textbook. There's not much out there. The option is a game changer in CAFS, and it can really shift and change exactly what you do inside our course. So thanks so much for joining tonight. Thank you for those of you who are following me the last couple of nights. Tomorrow night, we're also going live at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to show you a sneak peek inside Strive, literally all the templates that you get. Instagram, you guys might have to join over on Facebook. So if you head over to the Learning Network or inside the CAFS Collaborative, you'll be able to join us there, because literally I'll show you inside the course. Again, it's like, let's get rid of the word course. I think it's a transformation that you guys absolutely love and get so much out of. But in the meantime, please let me know. Send me a DM if you have any questions about the option, about Strive. But thank you for joining tonight, and I hope you have a great evening. Take care, guys. See you guys. Have a good night.